Some of our best ideas come from cooking in the kitchen, and that kitchen thought for Crystal Moran-Reynoso and her husband Andy meant thinking of their restaurant's name, Boricana, combining Boricua, the original name of the indigenous people of the island, and Dominican Republic. Crystal and Andy found a missing piece in Elmira when they moved here and couldn't find a taste of home, so instead they filled that void in themselves.
So we've lived up here, it's going on 18 years now, and there's not any, Puerto Rican Dominican restaurant you could just go in and say, oh, hey, I remember when I first moved up here, I even called the Chinese restaurant, and I was like, hey, can I get some tostones? And they're like, oh, you're definitely from the city.
Crystal's upbringing in the Bronx has shaped Boricana to become a place that feels like home when you come in and sit down, a generational tradition that has been ingrained in her cooking.
So my mom is from Lares, and so is her mom. I lived with my great-grandmother at one point, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mom. So I had that tradition, I had that. I was able to see that. Grandma doesn't like nobody in the kitchen, but certain things she'll teach you, right? It's huge. The cooking is huge in our culture. The family events, the holidays, oh, somebody just turned 16, it's all those traditions are still passed on.
Just a subway ride away lived Andy in Washington Heights, where much of his culture was just outside of his apartment building, what he describes as a mini Dominican Republic.
I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world, The guys, old school guys playing dominoes, giving us their change, their bottle change so we could buy little candies and stuff like that. It was beautiful growing up in Washington Heights. It's not as bad as people make it seem,
Together, they bring a cultural exchange of Caribbean dishes. Andy, who was previously a chef for 10 years, says their food comes from their heart and, of course, sofrito, a popular cooking base used in Puerto Rican culture, well known for its food and dance.
We had one customer one time that I love that he came, he ordered, and he started eyeballing, crying. And I was like, and he goes, I don't want to sound weird. And I'm like, what happened? It's like the smell, the food. It reminded me of my mother, and she passed away 2 years ago, he said. So everything reminded me. He was literally crying in the front. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm glad we brought you that kind of memory.
Boricana has expanded the food palette for many, including the women's soccer team at Elmira College, when head coach Bill Kelly and assistant coach Ashley Boyd needed a place to feed the team during preseason.
We called up Crystal and decided to set up a time we could come over, and it was fabulous. The food was fantastic.
She shut the whole place down for us and gave us a really good experience.
Both coaches say they've never had Puerto Rican or Dominican food.
The flavors and the personality of the owners, they're just warm and welcoming, and the food reflects them. It's just a real family atmosphere.
Crystal's so great. She's always responsive. She's doing a lot for the community, and I think that's great too.
Boricana is not only your local Puerto Rican and Dominican spot to come in and try something new, but also offers a family-friendly atmosphere for those that are home away from home, or in my case, looking for someone to dance with. For WENY News, I'm Crystal Bermudez.